5, 6, 7, 8. Come on board, negotiate. Now let's talk about real money. Now let's talk about real money. 1, 2, 3, 4. We won't take it anymore. 5, 6, 7, 8. Come on board, negotiate.
You're looking good over there.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to reconvene the public meeting for April 18th, Lodi Unified School District Board of Education. At this point, let's do a roll call. We have 6 members present, and George Neely is absent. We do have our student representatives. Welcome. We'll hear from you shortly, hopefully. Thank you for attending. And if you would, please, everyone stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready to begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for that. And at this time, I will report out from actions in closed session. On public school students, 2016-17, Daryl Talkin motion, second, and the board approved the placement of 2016-17 non-public school students, numbers 91, 92, 93, and 94. And the reason there's 7 is because we had Mr. Neely on teleconferencing from Barcelona, Spain. But it's almost 4 o'clock in the morning there, so he signed off for this portion of the meeting. In other further closed session items, personnel matters, there's an appointment of the adult school CTE. Joe Nava motion, Daryl Polkin seconded, and the board approved the placement of Julie Jensen as principal, adult school CTE at Lincoln Tech Academy, effective date to be determined by the following vote. Ayes were 7, noes 0. Also, Ron Freitas motion, Daryl Talkin seconded, and the board approved the appointment of Edith Holbert as the Director 3 Instructional Services, effective date April 19th, 2017 by the following vote. Ayes 7, noes 0. And there was no other action in closed session. Okay, and at this point, we have our recognitions, and the student recognitions is one of the events that is probably the happiest that the board can do. It is wonderful to see what our students are up to. So let's go ahead and start. Ms. Kankowski, if you would please. Recognition of staff and students certified in level 1 rocketry. And really, who doesn't want to shoot up a rocket?
President Pepperly and members of the board, Dr. Washer. As you've been aware, we've had 2 days of rocketry experience over the last 2 years. And during those 2 days out at Snow Ranch, we've had some of our teaching staff and some of our students become level 1 certified in rocketry. So we would like to honor our teaching staff who achieved the status and our students. It's a small group. But before we begin, show a little 3-minute video that kind of encompasses what it's all about, and then I'll invite other people up.
How many cans do you have in there? Oh, 2. 2, all right. I'm sure. Right here? Yeah, okay. The delay on this motor, 8 seconds delay, and I'm going to drive it. Great. Because you guys want to stay in the air. Always wonderful. I don't go to too many events, but I always go to the rocket event.
So I'd like to invite Shirley, our instructional coach for science, Shirley Cunningham, and who are our Magnitude IO consultants that we work with that bring all of the science knowledge in the space and rocketry to us, up here to say a few words and then hand out the certificates.
Good evening, Dr. Washer and board members. I'd like to introduce to you Ed Tagami and Tony So from Magnitude IO.
Thank you. Hello, board. We're really excited to be able to work with your teachers and with your students here in the second year. You've really inspired not just the county with the work that you guys have been doing. I actually drew the attention of the National Laboratory on the International Space Station, and your schools are working on some projects on the space station right now. So these events, I think, are very compelling for your students because they're engaged hands-on. And what we're seeing is the culmination of what the teachers were doing with them in the classroom, where they're phenomena-based investigations. They're based on the next generation of science standards. We're taking engineering and science principles and we're bringing them together. So while it looks like a lot of fun, they've done a lot of work leading up to these kind of events. Those little 3D printed devices that look like cans are scientific instruments. They measure things like air pressure and temperature and humidity and acceleration. And really, a rocket's only good if it has a payload, right? Students learn immediately the value of a scientific instrument and what it can do with respect to measuring the world around you. So I'm really, really proud of your teachers and your students that have decided to take an added step working with the National Association of Rocketry. It's 1957, literally the same year that Sputnik went into orbit, and they've done outreach, amazing outreach. A lot of the older folks that you saw there are volunteers. They spend an entire Sunday supporting our students and our teachers here. So we really have a lot to thank the Livermore unit of the National Association of Rocketry, which also, by the way, happens to be the largest club in the nation. So here, how fortunate are you guys in your own backyard, just off of Highway 4, you've got a facility where the FAA lets you launch a rocket up to 2 miles, and that happens in about 20 seconds. So really, really excited about where you guys are going with this. And I think our goals of getting you into orbit seem to be on the way. NASA's excited about this type of stuff. So we're encouraged and very happy.
We had several teachers and several students become level 1 or high power rocket certified on this last trip out, and as well as last year. So I'd like to ask the teachers and the students to come up, Araceli Ramirez and Steve Fox. We had Jim Davis from McNair, principal at McNair. He was level 1 certified last year. He wasn't able to be here tonight. He's at a conference. We also had Greg Evans, which was featured in the video. Teacher from McNair, he was also level 1 certified. Araceli Ramirez was also level 1 certified, so I'd like to present her with her level 1 certificate. And then I'll go ahead and turn over the microphone to Steve Fox to present to his kids.
So before I get a chance to present, I want to thank the board and everybody in the district for this opportunity. The chance for these kids to learn how to build a rocket, how to launch a rocket, and to do all the different things that we've been doing at Lodi Middle and hopefully next year at Tokay. It's been a great opportunity. It's what education is all about, and I think that the students, when they look back on it, they're going to have a lot of memories and a lot of positive experiences that they'll be able to take with them into their future careers. I had 3 students that received their certifications, so when I call their names, they can come up. Athena Petronis. Nicholas Hillary. And Jaden Conrad. Jaden was able to make it today. So, thank you.
Hello.
I'm Marisol Ramirez and I teach math at McNair High School. And last year, when they brought the program over, they said, hey, do you guys want to build or work with satellites? And I said, of course. And so I run Mesa at McNair, and my kids were like, well, we like to build stuff. And so then Ted was like, well, you want to build rockets? Of course. And so then I had a group last year. We had 4 kids that were certified, plus myself. And then this year we had another 4 kids. Unfortunately, I only have one person today, but
So with that level 1 certification, there's 3 levels, and you can only do a level 1 up to the age of 18. So really a great accommodation for these young folks that have actually gone ahead to do that. In order to get a level 2 certification, you have to get a little more into avionics and construct and design your own rocket and be able to deploy that. There's some special events there. And then the level 3 is the highest level you can get. It's not going to get to NASA size, but it's pretty surprising what you can do at level 3. You can get up to about 19 miles. Got the right team working with it. Rocketers that have been able to do that with solid propellant. So it's we're really fortunate to have the NAR again working with us. The safety is paramount with these larger rockets. I mean, even the smaller ones here that they got certified on go up about a half a mile. And so the safety is really, really important, and we're really happy that they're helping us along here with your district. Again, thank you very much.
How exciting. It's just like the movie October Skies, where the sky is not the limit. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your work. Thank you. Okay, next up we have our Science Olympiad teams. We'll start with elementary. Ms. Lampkin, thank you.
Good evening. We're very excited today to award and recognize our students at our K-8 elementary school, Elkhorn. And I'd like to introduce our principal, Pat White, who will be introducing our winning teams.
You said, such an exciting time. Thank you for this opportunity, President Hemmerly, Dr. Walsh, members of the board. It's such an honor to be able to take time to recognize all the hard efforts and the extra time. We know that all of the Science Olympiad events happen after school and homework quite often. So we know that students are giving up time after their school day, they're giving up weekend time, but we also know they've developed a real passion for learning any of the math pieces, the science, the building. So it's such an exciting time. I'm going to call our different teams at a time. And team members, when I call your team, I want you to stand up here and face the audience, and then Mrs. Lampkin will help pass out our certificates. So we'll start with the elementary division. There are 2 separate divisions, elementary and middle. So the blue team, come on up, elementary blue. Now to save your hands, because there are a lot of recognitions, let's just wait till all the names are called, and I know that I want to call all the names just in case somebody's toward the back of the room, and if there are any other Science Olympiad participants, make your way on up to the front. Also, I don't know if it's possible for our head coaches to come up and just stand sort of behind the students. I think they got kind of trapped back there, but I do want to say thank you to Dr. Lawson and Dr. Matthews for heading up our elementary Science Olympiad. So when I call your name, if you just step forward and get your certificate. Christian Carpenter, Jaden Fakuri, Camilla Pajaro, Ryan Marini, Alyssa Martinez, Don Tran, Andre Moore, I think I saw Andre, Puneet Chandawalia, Paul Predio, Levi Gorson, Hayden Tom. I think Hayden's here. I don't even know. I thought he was. Victoria Vo, Vivek Dhaliwal, Amy Doe. Erin Lapurico? No, sorry, I said wrong, Lapurcio. There we go. And I had to practice that today, and I still didn't get the first time. Sorry, Erin. Michael Martinez. Samuel Shorts. Natalie Vang. And that is our Elkhorn second place blue team. Thank you. Every year there's just such steep competition at this event, but we're pretty excited because we took overall first and second place. So let's have our Elkhorn Gold team right up here, please. Don't you love the sound of all those medals? I really wondered, should I have them wear the medals or not? But I have to tell you, absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Huntley.
Absolutely.
The very next After Science Olympiad happens on a Saturday. We've had lots of Saturday exciting events. And on Monday, you hear the sound coming on campus about 7 o'clock. Jingle, 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 with all the, the pride and that. So let's start with Yenny Lang. Calvin Ning. Sorry, Calvin. Dominic, did Dominic make it? No, it's Dominic Gonzalez. Okay. Robert Soria. Aubrey Anderson. I'm not sure I'm saying Aubrey. Okay. Jonathan Bauer. Jonathan? Or Lou. I didn't see Ariana come in. Didn't see Jack. Ariel Flores. Rowan Lafferty, Hannah Larson, Alfonso Moreno, Isaac Matthews, John Matthews, Jonathan Lane, Katie Quatch, Olivia Stenson, Tex Lang. And that is our first place elementary gold team. Congratulations. That's a lot of pressure, isn't it? Not just this part, but working up to it. So the tradition continues. We go on to middle school for Science Olympiad. And the exciting thing is when we have these competitions, we see a lot of high school volunteers that were former Olympiads at our own school site. So let's start with middle school, third place, Elkhorn Blue. Come on up, Elkhorn Blue, middle school. Start with Gilsbury Brer. Brar. Oh my goodness, I practiced that one too, Brar. That's like Brar. Sorry, Katie Chang. Okay. And did Bella Kamari make it? Okay, Lindsay Emmons. Julia Hilsenrath. Tiffany Hung. Simran Carr. Ken Lee. Oh, he is here. I thought so. I thought Kim Lee. To Kim Lee. And Twee. Is Twee here? Sorry, Tweeton Lee. Okay. Sorry. Messina Olson. Melissa Para. And Felix Q. And Athena Soria. And did I call Nelly? Did I call Nelly already? Sorry, so many. All right, let's give them a hand. Our final group is our Elkhorn Gold. Elkhorn Gold took second place. It was really a tight competition. And they've spent many a Saturday at a number of houses of people even in this room, and we really appreciate that. Before I call the last one, I just wanted to acknowledge Mr. Bussey, and is Mr. Oshina here? Mark, is Dan here? Is he in the back? He's hiding. I have to say, these two gentlemen have given so much time. We have to These events are really an effort by obviously the students first and foremost, but the parents. And Mr. Bussey, I think, has given 9 years of building events, building all sorts of equipment, organizing, along with Mr. Bussey, and they are the dynamic duo that will be really missed. So if we could now have our Elkhorn Gold Middle School team come up, please. Our first one is Anisha Hood. And is Lisa here? She didn't make it, okay. Alex Bussey. Sabrina Chen, did Sabrina make it? Hattie Ellison. Yes? Did I see Sebastian Donovan yet? Erin Gruel, I don't think Erin can make it tonight. And Owen Hardy, okay. And Jasmine Herrera, Emma Jellen, sorry, Campbell, Zach Larson. No, Nathaniel Lee. There he is. Okay. Okay. Is Taylor down there? Taylor, no. Anna Matthews. I'm sorry, she's in LA. She's singing at Disneyland. That's pretty exciting. Mark Oshta. And Holly.
Congratulations, elementary and middle school. We're on to high school.
Now, another middle school.
And the other middle school, yep.
Good evening, President Heverly and members of the board. I'd like to introduce Mr. Scott McGregor, and he will introduce his Lodi middle team.
Thank you, Ms. Edica, President Heverly and members of the board. Thanks for having us here today. We appreciate it. And if I can ask the Lodi Middle School team to please come forward. We have two teams compete this year at the county level. Our blue team finished 5th at the county and went on to state and finished 12th. We're very, very proud of their effort. Our coaches were comprised of both teachers and parents. 2 parents this year led the way, Marina Henny and Aline Hashimoto. Both of them were unable to be here tonight, but invested a lot of time, and I can't tell you the amount of hours that the students invested in accomplishing this great task, making it to state and representing our school so well. I'm going to go ahead and read their names. Kids, if you can raise your hand when I call your name, and I'll give you certificates out in the hallway, okay? So I'll read. Thomas Brucker, Ben Goebel, Mariko Hashimoto, Annika Hochschild, Hannah Hochschild, Riker Henny, Nicholas Hillary, Justin Monk, Athena Petronis, Claire Smink, Jenna Tufal, Justin Weber, Richard Wong, Ben Fouth, and Kendra Gowdy. Again, these kids put in a lot of time. We're very, very proud of the effort they put forth and how they represented our school. Thanks for honoring them here tonight.
Next, we have our high school level. Mr. Eric Sandstrom from Tokay is here.
Thank you, Ms. Medica, Mr. Hepper, President Heavily, members of the board, Dr. Washer. Okay, hi, come on up, you guys and gals, please. Come on up. And before I get into acknowledging our students here and everything else, my other folks, our Elkhorn students and everyone, realize that the high school students, besides competing at Science Olympiad, in their own competitions and everything else, a lot of our team members put in a lot of hours either working at the elementary events and or coaching their teams and working with their students. And an awful lot of them do that because when they were in elementary, they had the big kids helping them out. And they're definitely paying it back and paying it forward as that goes around. And I'm really proud of them for working with all their students. Some of them even have siblings that are coming through the ranks and everything else, but working with our younger students and getting them engaged with it so that as they get excited by this stuff, they're going out and flying rockets as well. So it's all pretty cool stuff. As well as our student members, our primary coaches this year who are guiding our team along with again, event coaches and other folks, parents and everyone involved. But Ms. Sue McFarland, she was one of our coaches. Again, she's couldn't be here this evening. She's battling illnesses and other fun things from staying up so late working with all these fine students and stuff. You guys are driving her to illness. There you go. So, go easy on her next time. But one of them who is here, but he likes to hide in the back. Where did Mr. Oshita go? He's all the way in the far corner. Stan Oshita is one of our own event coaches. Mr. McGregor asked, we have a total of 18 students on the Tokay High Purple team. We took first place in our regions here, and then at the state meet and everything, we finished 10th, I believe. Is that correct, Max? Yeah, we finished 10th place, so not bad for Tokay High School and our students being represented. Our 2017 Science Olympiad Purple first place team, our region, and 10th place at state. If those folks are here, raise your hand. Manreed Atwall, Max Bonham, Ava Canestrino, Owen Canestrino, Mia Cacchini, Zachary Chavez, Alyssa Fuentes, Emily Hardy, Matthew Hashimoto, Alexander Hillary, Zach Katurian, Michelle Oshita, Shreyas Patel, Ravneet Rajasani, John Sasaki, Jaskron Shergill, and Jacob Smith are our 2017 first place Science Olympiad team and 10th in the state. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Our winners are also students that are participating in all sorts of other things, so it's really hard to get them here in the spring. So
and those juniors have testing right now tomorrow morning, so
thanks to everyone that was here.
Great. Again, congratulations to all the Science Olympians and Rocketeers. We love seeing your efforts, and we love recognizing you. Thank you so much. At this time, students, go ahead and feel free to stay or feel free to leave. I understand it's a school night, so. We're still letting the crowd. Okay, Dr. Washer, go ahead and follow that.
Thanks, Mr. Everly. Rockets over here, sorry.
Yeah.
Real quickly, just a couple things. I know we have a long agenda ahead of us, but I do want to recognize and thank Mike McKilligan and his team in the personnel department for another successful job fair for certificated staff. Also, thank you to all staff who attended and participated to help. We had certificated and classified staff there on hand. Food service providing some refreshments, like the green light, there we go. And it was a wonderful event. We had almost 70 candidates here. Administrators were on hand conducting interviews the whole entire time. There was a line at one of the interview doors all night and some hiring going on that evening. So thank you to everyone who was involved in that. It was a huge success. Just a reminder, it is testing season. State testing time, as was mentioned. I know that that can add an element of stress and anxiety in our classrooms and to the system. Just want to make sure our parents remember to have their kids get a good night's sleep, eat a good breakfast, ready to show what they know on our state tests, and wish everyone a happy testing season. From this point forward, you will be getting quite a few invitations to performances, recognition, celebrations. It is time to celebrate. At each board meeting, I think we do have groups coming in for you to recognize, but as you get those invitations and see if there are some that you can attend, they are quite joyous celebrations, so thank you.
Thank you. All righty. At this point in the agenda is comments from the public. A 20-minute time period has been set aside for the public to address the board, not listed on the agenda. Each public speaker shall try to limit their comments to 3 minutes. You're also welcome to distribute any materials to the board and/or staff. Due to restrictions imposed by the California Brown Act regarding discussing topics that are not on the agenda, board members may not engage in dialogue about the issue raised by the speaker. And we do have several speakers. Could please try to stay to that time limit in respect for the other speakers that do want to say what they have on their mind. So I'm going to go through the cards first, and then if you did not, I will open it up to the public time provided. The first speaker will be Cole Hudson, and after that will be Terry Roberts.
Dear President Heatherly, sirs and Madam of the School Board, Madam Superintendent, Dr. Nichols Washer, I'm Leland Stanford. Forgive me, last time I was here, I missed my social obligations. My public. I didn't expect to see you again. I was hoping to return to the 19th century. But until I find my esteemed colleague, Dr. Who, it seems I may be stuck here indefinitely. To see ladies holding elected office and superintending a school district. If I get back to the 19th century, wait until Lizzie Stanton and Susie Anthony hear about this. Well, I seem to be stuck in this time period, at least until I locate Doctor Who, and I better look around for an opportunity to generate some income. Whilst here, I have made it my habit to become better acquainted with the business practices and public service endeavors of this fair state and our wonderful country. You well know I have significant experience in both private enterprise and public policy. I suppose I am most famous for building the Transcontinental Railroad, but I sit as president or on the boards of countless enterprises. I was the 8th governor of this state and a United States senator. I am quite interested in the education of our youth. I was a regent of the University of California. I founded the first California State University at San Jose, and of course, my own university named for my deceased son. So I feel an obligation to make some observations on the current state of your district. I perused a, quote, an electronic mail document yesterday. It stated that if I became a teacher here at Lodi Unified, I could earn between $44,000 and $88 million. Now, that is a position for a capitalist such as myself. What? The $88 million was not what a teacher would earn? Oh. I see, they included a superintendent's salary. Oh, what say you? That was a data entry error? Oh, well, this must be what current President Trump is calling fake news. Governor of California, I could do that job. It currently pays $174,000 a year. I have been a U.S. Senator. Congress is paying the same amount, $174,000 a year. Although if I was Speaker of the House, I would earn $223,000. President earns $233,000. Justice, well, I am a lawyer too, by the way. They earn $246,800 a year. What is this superlative position? The superintendent of a middling-sized school district, Lodi Unified, makes $248,676 in base salary, not including overtime or benefits, nearing $50,000 2 years ago. Madam Dr. Washer, begging your pardon, my lady, is this truth? You earn more than Vice President Pence? By Jove. It may very well be that top-level bureaucrats in public service are well paid in this century. Some governmental departments with which I am not familiar. The director of the CIA only makes $172,000 a year. A small agency. The director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation makes $180,000 a year, with possible bonuses between $10,000 and $20,000 a year. They must be the Pinkertons. Well, they must have fewer employees to oversee to be paid less than your superintendent.
Please wrap it up.
Well, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court has a higher base salary, but no overtime, so he does not make more than Dr. Washer either. Finally, I have found a public servant more highly paid than our own good doctor, the President of the United States. Well, it seems that Dr. Washer is making in the top 10% of superintendents in the nation. Mostly the pay ranges between $124,000 and $183,000 with a median of $151,000 nationally and current 18 days old information. But what about in our own fair county? Dr. Washer earns between $18,000 and $40,000 more than her compatriots in Lincoln, Manteca, Stockton, or Tracy school districts. More than the superintendent of Beverly Hills or the superintendent of Malibu, Santa Monica School District.
With all due respect, your time is up.
Wow.
By several minutes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Terry Roberts, and the next one up will be Elizabeth Ng.
Good evening, everybody. Terry Roberts, teacher, Lawrence Elementary, 17 years. Here we are again. My question is why? Our contract is up. There's a battle to negotiate a fair pay schedule. We give up time we don't have, just get pay that would at least pace the cost of living. It's an insult. Keeping good teachers and recruiting them is made more difficult because the pay is not keeping up with surrounding districts who are offering better pay and better benefits. The fact that there's a teacher shortage should be incentive enough for this board to increase our pay, to entice teachers to work for LUSD and stay here. We're not guaranteeing that good teachers will come here or stay here. Students will be the ones to suffer most. He needs to compete for the teachers who are applying for jobs. Money talks. And right now, LUSD is saying, we don't care if we keep or get good teachers. LUSD advertised for teachers calls, offering jobs to pre-credentialed candidates, pre-intern qualifications. Perception is more subs are people who don't have teaching credentials, not unlike the 50 subs filling regular teaching positions in the district. It's inconsistency for the students in what they learn if they are learning much of anything. Every 30 days, they will get a new sub, which is not a good thing for students in any classroom. District filled positions this year, we're in a crisis situation. Another perception is that LUSD is behind in recruitment or started later than other districts. We are already worked to the maximum with new technology, reading program, Common Core standards, and then expected to teach combo classes to save district money. They're hard for teachers and students don't learn much in these classes. Low teachers. This new master teacher program is daunting to say the least and requires extra time we don't have. Our time and energy is spread thin. Trainings in our own spare time and be on or head committees. All this and more is saying we need a decent and fair offer on this contract. An 8% raise. 2 of the so-called raises were one-time payments for money that we gave up in 2010 and 11. 2014 also included 1.5 reinstated days. If all the other additions to teachers' jobs are put in the contract, we'll be expected to do more and get less. Once again, we are being placed in a strict bubble, decreased rights. To be placed in positions that a teacher does not agree on would be detrimental to students and education. Difficult to change grade levels, and especially if you are not in favor of the change. I only see huge adjustments for teachers once again and lots of extra work. The break-in service clause is another unfair rule that penalizes teachers. I don't believe there's any other profession that has such a rule. They're taking a day with no pay, so why should it be in break-in service if they're notifying the district? Pay for the sub as well. This is totally unfair to those who have had surgeries, deaths in their family, and other traumatic changes to deal with in the years they have put in. As teachers, we are asking for the respect and professionalism we deserve, plus the pay we should be getting, especially when comparing it to other districts. We need to return Lodi to the status it once had as a highly sought community of learning. Housing prices here are very high, and our pay levels are not giving us the American dream anymore. Give us back that ability to live a life we all want without having to take on extra work outside of our day-to-day teaching. Treat us as you would want to be treated. We deserve to be paid fairly and equitably without having to grovel for every crumb. Thank you.
Elizabeth Ing, and next up will be Karen Minnick. And I'll remind you, please, if we could try to keep them to 3 minutes and let everyone have their opportunity to speak, would be greatly appreciated.
Mr. Chairman, that's the rule. 3 minutes. 3 minutes is sufficient. Both speakers have gone over.
Are you out of order?
I will keep
Please.
this very succinct.
Thank you.
I've only spoken before this board one other time, and that was regarding the STEAM program that I run for Lodi High. In addition to the STEAM program, I'm also the head science Olympiad coach. On top of that, I am the faculty advisor for the TARP team, that is the Team America Rocketry Challenge. Physics. I offer tutorials on Friday afternoons and Saturday mornings. Under your current offer, shall we say, I would make less for all of this than if I were to go to work in Galt, an equivalent district, and work nothing but my contractual day. And that's hurtful and offensive, frankly, given the number of hours that I pour into my students. It comes across as though we do not matter to this board.
Yes. Yes.
It is offensive to all of us. I have already seen one teacher leave my site, a teacher who was voted Teacher of the Year by her peers, currently working for Galt, making $10,000 a year more. I know that she is just as happy at that site as she was at ours, but our site is sad to have lost her. I currently have students who are highly interested in coming back and working with me as STEAM teachers. But how am I supposed to tell them, yes, come back and work for Lodi Unified, when I know that they can go to work for Galt or Stockton, making 10% more and having benefits covered? This is extremely difficult to me, as to some of these children, I'm known as their second mother. What kind of a mother advises their child to take $10,000 a year less and lower benefits in order to come back and hang out and help mom teach? I invest my life into these students, and I find 2% to be highly offensive, as does everybody in this room. Not just those of us who run the after-school programs are committing our lives to these students. The AP teachers at my school site take home stacks and stacks of papers to grade every night. Those who are teaching CP as well. These are courses that may not be recognized by you as a course that necessarily requires that specialized credential. But if you lose those teachers to surrounding districts, who's going to fill their spot? Another long-term sub? Please consider this. Think about what we pour into these students. Think about how you would feel if your child was in my class and I said, I'm terribly sorry, but I have to go. I can't provide tutoring to your child anymore on these Fridays and Saturdays. I have to go tutor for pay to make up the difference. Think about what you're doing to our students as well as our teachers. Thank you.
Karen Minnick, and next up will be Chris Funge.
Hi, my name is Karen Minnick, and I'm the speech and debate coach at Bear Creek High, as you well know. The last time I spoke with you, I was bragging about the accomplishments of my team and explained the monetary challenges that I face. Hopefully in a couple of weeks, we'll have more good news for you after state competition. However, tonight, I'd like to publicly thank both the Bear Creek High School student government for their generous donation of $1,500 and Ms. Kathy Washer for her personal donation of $250. We're still short of our goal in fundraising, of course, but we appreciate the generosity and support. If the board can personally be so generous and supportive, it obviously calls into question why we don't see these traits professionally. I've said this before. My sister is a special education teacher here, and I, of course, at Bear Creek. We're both third-generation Lodi High School graduates. And we all know this district was once known for their excellence. It's when my parents moved back. And that reputation continues today despite the inequities. North Stockton sellers still tout that they are Lodi Unified School District to sell their homes. But sadly, it's no longer true. If we didn't feel it, we'd know by taking a look around the surrounding districts and the glaring inequity of our pain across the board. Current teachers sit here without a contract. It's insulting and demeaning that you call out home messages and email to us that you're recruiting. sending to us is for us to go ahead, relinquish our positions, and those with less experience and therefore less pay can fill them. It appears you pride yourselves more on the cash that you stashed and how little you can give to shut us up than how well you take care of your teachers and the staff that sit before you tonight. LUSD seems to wear their frugality as a badge of honor instead of their generosity as a medal of pride. We call on your moral sense of justice to offer us a contract beyond what we ask, and pride yourselves on how well you pay us and provide benefits. The time to return this district to its glory days is now. To do that is to prove to us that you do value what we do every day in our classrooms and communities by offering us a living wage. We are educated professionals. I know good and well that if I left my coaching position, my team would probably sadly die because nobody else is willing to work so hard for so little in return. I've been working here 22 years, and for the first time ever, and I love my school, but for the first time ever, I've been tempted to look at what coaching positions in other states would look like. We know you can move the money around any way you choose according to your priorities. The priority of LUSD needs to be the teachers and the staff that work directly with our students every single day. We change the world one student at a time so we can once again be the premier district in the Valley. We now ask that you come to the bargaining table with a true sense of generosity and support that we provide our students. Thank you.
Here, here.
After Mr. Funds, we'll have Martha Snyder.
Lunch teacher at Elders Larson, Dr. Washer, President Heberly, and board members. I'm worried that you've lost a vision of who your teachers are. We're not bits of data on a budget spreadsheet. Example of what one teacher has given to his profession. I've given 28 years of my life. That is not hyperbole. That's days, nights, weekends, vacation days. I've helped open 2 schools in Lodi Unified, Wagner Holt and taught 16 years, Elders Larson in 12 years. I've taught more than 700 students to read and write, add, subtract, multiply, and divide. I've taken over 250 parents and 500 students through Valley Days. I've helped adopt 3 math curriculums for the district. I've mentored teachers formally and informally, provided in-services, 16 student teachers through UOP, many who are teachers today in our district. I've helped recruit teachers at job fairs, provided hours and hours and hours of tech support at our school. I've set up classes 43 times, thank you, year round, and moved classrooms 34, again, remember year round. I've taught administrators' children, board members' grandchildren, given my all for the state tests, including this year. I did over $28,000 of my salary over the 28 years I've taught in this district I've painted myself green. I've dressed like a settler. I've recently let students shave my head because they made a major reading goal. I've called CPS to protect children from child abuse. When jury duty, when I had 6 weeks, I came in every day, an hour before I had to run over to Stockton to serve. Commuted to Palo Alto, VA, to be with my dying father. 2 days I would work. I would go be with him. 2 days I would drive back and work. 2 days I would go be with him. I did that for over 3 weeks. I put out a fire at Larson Elementary School. And what has the district done for me these last 8 years? Well, they cut my pay, increased my class size. For 6 years, I lost a major chunk of my wages. Come up here and speak like this 2 years ago And here I am again. And after I reached 20 years in the district, that was it. There was no more steps to go on. This is one teacher's story, but I'm not an outlier. I'm the mean, I'm the mode, I'm the median. I'm just one of many of all these teachers here. In this district. Who do you honor us? Will be Jamie Hillis.
You, Mr. Funge, you are the best.
Good evening, Mr. Heverly, members of the board, Dr. Washer, Martha Snyder, Krista McCullough Middle School. On my slip there tonight, I have hashtag I support Lodi Unified School District students. Just so eloquently put, 27 years to supporting Lodi Unified School District students. 100 students. I took to Yosemite National Park. I can't do it anymore because it's not valued. I just recently spent $26.97. Doesn't sound like much. One of you tonight, an email showing my students learn how to tweet appropriately as they get ready to go to Bear Creek High School, because Bear Creek, and what did they tweet about? They tweeted about Civil War and why it happened. They represented 14 historical characters in high fashion. And I know that some of you sitting over there on that board tonight sat in my classroom as students debated similar issues years ago. That was good. We've moved into a new age. This year, I have helped 146 students move from paper-based composition books to digital composition books and help their students find that new medium in which we live that highly supports StudySync and the English Language Arts departments. What do I get in return? Last year, I just filed my taxes. I put on my tax form $8,000 for going to training that you might someday say isn't on your list. It's to keep me highly qualified. I sent a message to a friend of mine in Shanghai, China, who says they're hiring teachers of my caliber after 27 years.
Jamie Hillis, and then Lisa Wilkins.
Hi, everybody. I have communicated in one way or another with everyone on the board. A couple months ago, I sent an email to every single one of you, pouring my heart out, sharing my own personal story about why we need a contract and why we need a fair contract and why 2% just isn't going to cut it. And Ms. Castle emailed me back. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. At the last board meeting, I got up here and I was very impassioned and I shared my story. I talked to you guys about how I have to work 2 jobs to make ends meet. And even that's kind of difficult. And later that week, when our bargaining team went back, that 2% number was still there. And that was after I shared my story about having 2 graduate degrees and more letters after my name than in my name, and that I'm still a noob and I could still move to another district if I needed to, and earn more. And I poured all my heart out. I was like, super impassioned and shared all of this. And, I really felt like I made a connection. That 2% number came back. It was like my sacrifices, my hard work, the second job I have to work didn't matter. And then I started thinking, well, maybe some board members aren't reading their emails, or maybe they weren't listening to me or making eye contact when I was trying to speak. Maybe they were in Monterey. So I decided another way to kind of get your guys' attention and talk to you and communicate with you guys and share my story and the story of my colleagues would be to give you guys postcards. I really love postcards. Anywhere I travel, like Monterey, always pick up a postcard. So I made some postcards. And on the front of my postcard, it says, it's a quote from FDR, we cannot succeed unless those who express their choice are prepared to choose wisely. The real safeguard of democracy, therefore, is education. And as board members, you guys are in a position to make important decisions about education. And you can't make important decisions about education without taking care of your teachers, bringing young people into the future. And if we don't have, if we aren't valued by our administrators, it makes our work very difficult. And when I was making out these postcards, my colleagues at Millswood who aren't able to attend board meetings, they have small children, they haven't quite crawled out of, grading benchmarks yet, or, tonight is their night to work their side hustle. So I shared my postcards with my colleagues, and so several of them have filled them out. Some of them have written personal notes to you guys because they know you, they've come across you in the community. So would it be okay if I handed them out? I collated them.
Yeah. Either there or here, whichever you like.
I'll come up so that way I can make sure we.
Should I call the next speaker? Or?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Mr. Neely, he's in Barcelona. Yeah. It's okay, I'll just come back.
Okay.
Nice to meet you. And next to that's it. That's you last. So yeah, thank you guys for shaking my hand, getting to say hi. It's nice to, I think, sometimes put what these whole issues relate to, really kind of put them into a personal perspective, look in someone's eyes, know that we're people, know that we have $100,000 in student loans. So thank you guys for listening to me over and over and over again, and probably over and over again still. And
Will be Don Teagan.
Dr. Washer, members of the board, President Heberly, thank you for the time. First, I want to say I'm very, very pleased to see so many girls and young women being recognized for their success in STEM tonight. It's very encouraging for me as a science teacher to see that. And as a science teacher, science is based in evidence. Every day, the board, the administration, is asking teachers for evidence for our performance. Are our students meeting their goals that we set for them? Are we making inroads with our PBIS? What kinds of numbers can we show that supports our school site goals, the LCAP goals? I find that very interesting coming from this board who
this conceptual proposal that, as far as I can tell, is not based in evidence. I don't know of any place where this has been implemented, offered that information to us. There's no evidence works, and there's no evidence, as far as I can tell, if that makes teachers happier to stick around. So where's the evidence? You know, teachers have these performance expectations. The performance expectations are of our superintendent, our administrators, and our board. Yeah. Do you have metrics that show effectiveness here? What are they? I worked in corporate for 20 years before I became a teacher, and we had metrics. We had goals, we had numbers. I want to see those goals, I want to see those numbers, and by the way, they were tied to our pay. So I kind of understand this conceptual proposal where you want to tie some of this stuff to our pay. But then my question is, are you going to cap it out? Because I've seen companies do that too. And then you've got everybody clawing for the same pot of money. So that, again, is another question. A piece of evidence. Compared to college graduates with similar degrees, the pay of a teacher has dropped by 17% from 1994 to 2015. 17%. That means that a college graduate with similar degree of any of the teachers here is making at least 17% more, an average 17% more. That's really tough. How are we going to tell young people to come into this profession? Outside today, I saw a young girl holding a sign saying, I can't afford to become a teacher. It's so sad, it breaks my heart. I come from a long line of teachers. So let me tell you about a few other things that evidence shows. Evidence shows that class size matters. Trying to take away our class sizes is just not acceptable. Teachers create the atmosphere at their school, much more than the principal, much more than the students, okay? It's the teachers, because they're with the students every day for a long time. Respected teachers are more engaged, and their students are more engaged. The teachers feel like they're making a difference. And respect doesn't come from pay, that's part of it. But it also comes from teachers having some say in how we're going to be evaluated, how we're going to be treated, how we are going to be able to transfer to another site if that's something we want to do. Show respect besides pay. And finally, them to stay in their districts. And that involves the community. You saw all the parents who were involved in the Science Olympiad, and I think that's awesome. Involved our students thrive. And isn't that really all the evidence we need? Thank you.
After Dawn will be Suzanne Reed.
Good evening. In recent weeks, the board has expressed the opinion that the teachers of Lodi Unified don't have the organization, interest, or passion to stand up for a fair contract. Well, here we are. The teachers who are unable to attend because they are taking evening classes after a long day teaching to complete their credential work, or are earning units for column pay increases because this is the only way they can be assured their paycheck will increase after 18 months of bargaining. They can't afford childcare or adult care for aging parents for whom they are now caring. They're working a second or third job to bring in additional income because their LUSD paycheck can't meet their living expenses. I'm here to assure you that the teachers of Lodi are interested in a fair contract, are passionate about being paid a living wage for their hours of hard work during their contract day, and the additional hours they take from their families to meet the demands of their teaching position. that we are organized to support our bargaining team at the table for a fair contract. We were asked by Mr. Freitas to back Measure U. He was clear that he was at the Rep Council meeting as the chairman of Measure U. He stated that one of the goals of Measure U is to attract and retain quality teachers. When asked how Measure U would accomplish this, because we know those funds cannot be used for salary, he stated there's $20 million for the district to make improvements. The approval of Measure U would bring in the much needed dollars for the improvements, freeing up the current money for negotiations with employee groups. He was clear he was not there to make a deal with teachers. It was a belief of the Measure U committee that teachers will flock to Lodi if they stay and if they have attractive and safe schools. I stand here tonight, a 31-year veteran of one of the oldest schools in this district. In fact, the room I've been teaching in for this last 31 years is older than I am, and it was built before Sputnik. It has been up for retrofit 3 times, but never been touched. Vertical blinds were installed on the 30 feet of windows for safety. Apparently, my continual asking for window covering needed verification from a highly paid consultant to the tune of $100,000 to get the job done. I can assure you that the teachers are about more than a fancy building. In good faith for over 18 months with no movement from the district on items brought to the table. In the last bargaining session, the conceptual proposal was locked to a 2% pay increase. If we don't take the undeveloped proposal, the skeleton with no flesh, we will get no pay increase. A proposal that provides the opportunity to earn 17% more than we currently earn. Yet when those individual carrots you have dangled before us are picked over, it is impossible for any one teacher to accomplish that total. It is false advertising on the part of the board to let the local press announce an offer of 17% was presented to teachers without explaining that it is pie in the sky. It's an insult to our intelligence to ask us to vote for contract items that are not fully developed. Of an MOU regarding the district's conceptual proposal to provide both sides time to develop the details, making the concepts viable. The board is holding a pay raise hostage for stipulations that even you do not know what form they will take, and this to get a measly 2%. The current offer of 2% works out to $1.38 an hour pre-tax dollar for a teacher at step F20, more than 20 years of service. Minimum wage is on schedule to hit $15 an hour by 2020. At this rate, my hourly pay of $35 an hour will need to increase to $70+ an hour to be an equitable increase. That requires an advanced skill set and at least 5 years of college. $15 an hour. Yes, we chose our profession knowing we would not become millionaires we have passion for, and because we need to pay the bills and put food on the table just like everyone else in this country. Currently, we have members who are not able to do this in 2017 with a pay rate from 2010. I never thought a teacher would be living just above the poverty line after 30 years of service. We need a fair contract, and we need it now. Thank you.
Suzanne Reed would be Rebecca Ray.
Good evening, Dr. Washer, members of the board. It's always nice to see Dave Hurley. This is one of the few chances I ever get to make reacquaint. I want to talk to you a little bit about my take. Like I've heard several times tonight, here we are again. I was raised by a parent who was one of the most gracious, patient, humble, and he had so much integrity. It was incredible. I know you probably wonder what happened to me, but yeah, amazing. Most people are good. Take them at their word the first time. And then he said to me, you need to have the heart of a dove and the wisdom of a serpent. You need to come to every event with honor in your heart, but you need to be wise, because when people repeatedly tell you something, but their actions suggest something else, you can't be a fool. you're expecting us with how many initials are in this room to take this at face value as good intent. I heard last time we want to get back to interest-based bargaining. It's very clear the interest is not ours. This, I don't know whose interest this is in. Quite frankly, it is certainly not in the interest of children. Because I was just recently at a brain conference with the leading cognitive researchers in the United States, Australia. John Hattie was there. John Hattie did a mega-analysis with he has a 300 million student database because he's in conjunction with researchers all over the world. And he says, most of this stuff we do in education is nonsense, but the one thing that comes through as very real, two things that come through as very real factors in student learning, teaching, which our curriculum does not do. It means you have to teach on the edge of forgetting. As soon as that piece of learning starts to disappear, you have to have it in your curriculum belt to spiral back. The other thing that all the researchers said, the one thing that is the most important is relationship. Relationship. These are your leading cognitive researchers in education. So this practice is just not acceptable. My son, when I had cancer in 2000, came to me. He was 6 years old, and he was kind of looking a little scared, and I said, it'll be okay, Seth. And he says, no, I'm happy. I have a message for you. I had a dream last night. Interesting. And I said, well, what's the message? And he said, why, Mom, would you look for anything with your head? I remember he's 6. When you can find it with your heart. Find your voice, Mom. This lady in the dream told me, you need to find your voice. I'm turning to all of us here. We have a voice. That voice needs to say, not again. Not again. You cannot talk about dignity and respect. You cannot talk about, look at all the, I really appreciate, my kids went to Elkhorn. I love what these kids have done. This is not without the heart and the passion of a teacher. Passion requires fuel, just like those rockets. We need fuel. We need to have satisfaction in our lives. The amygdala in the mid-center of the brain has to feel safe, secure, and wanted. Those are the 3 requirements of midbrain structures in order for other people, any people, to think. Well, if we don't feel safe in our jobs, I've been asked to move into a room with that obvious mold. Student right now, I've sent 31 emails out since July 31st. His hands don't work. I can't get the touchpad license for the. So if you've got RSP class, you have an RSP class with 59 students. The students who need the most instruction are not being served, not going to be allowed to be part of the Rotary Read because I was special ed. That was resolved. It goes on and on and on. Anyone with a moral structure cannot help but look at this and say, what is going on here? My first definition of education in my sociology class was the transmission of the culture. The job of education is the transmission of the culture. What culture proposing we transmit? Because any relationship that is not reciprocal is toxic. Anytime you come back for more and more abuse, it is a toxic relationship, and you are demeaning yourself. And I would frankly rather take no raise. I would rather stand in the street than to take this kind of assessment of what I do with children. I would work till I was 80. I'm a little like Mad Eye Moody now, but I can't, the body's not going to go there. But my heart and the heart of all these people, and if you don't keep that heart alive, what they're going to transmit is not a culture you're going to want. We already have kids that their dopamine levels in their brain are being affected by too much time on social media, and it's changing their mirror neurons so they don't have empathy. I use this book to teach my night class, and he stresses that if schools don't relationship, we are in big trouble in the future, not only for ourselves, but for our kids. You say you can't comment because of the Brown Act. As I look around, I'm a speech therapist as well. As I look around at your body language, you're commenting, you're speaking loud and clear. You are not going to have us all around anymore because it is time. There is a time where you just say no, right? We teach our kids that, just say no. Tonight, we need to tell you, we're saying no.
Yeah.
After Rebecca will be Mansfield District Garcia.
Good evening, Lodi Board of Trustees, Dr. Washer, and of course, all the Lodi teachers. Great job in what you do every day, and I appreciate it. I mean it. My name is Rebecca, and I'm the Community Business Development Manager for Barnes & Noble Stockton. As an authorized vendor of Lodi Unified, I work closely with your purchasing department in supplying your sites with the educational resources needed for your students. At the end of the school year, as the end of the school year closes, I'm able to assist in any of your final ordering needs, so please feel free to reach out to me. Bringing Pete the Cat costume character to Reese Elementary School this Friday, April 21st at 9 a.m. for a special storytime event for grades K through 3. 6 times a year, I have access to various costume characters for literacy events, and if any of your sites are interested in either Clifford the Big Red Dog or Spot the Dog visits in August or September, please contact me. March 28th, we had an in-store celebration for Miss Tony Dolan from Lincoln Technical Academy. She is our store's local winner for the Barnes & Noble My Favorite Teacher Awards. Ms. Dolan is now in the running to win the regional contest. If chosen as the national winner of this contest, Lincoln Tech Academy and Ms. Dolan will each receive $5,000. Damara Saldana submitted the winning essay. There were 87 total essays submitted, and out of those 87, 13 of those essays were for Ms. Dolan from her students. Words used to describe Ms. Dolan were engaging, hardworking, influential, motivational, sincere, devoted to her students, supportive. This also is the theme for all nominees, and it sounds like it's the theme here this evening as well. Tokay High School also participated in the contest this year, and this is the second year in a row that a teacher from Lodi Unified won. The Lodi News Sentinel featured the story on the front page on March 24th, and the Stockton Record also wrote an article that was featured in the March 29th edition. Congratulations again, Ms. Dolan and Damaris, and good luck in the regional and national contest. Our summer reading program kicks off May 16th, and all students grades 1 through 6 are encouraged to come to the store to pick up a free reading journal. Students are encouraged to read 8 books, record them in their journal, and return the journal to the store to choose their free book. They can read any book, and it can be from home or the library. Please visit barnesnoble.com for more information for this great program that keeps kids reading through the summer months. Please let me know if you'd like more information about any of our products or services by contacting me at the store. We again appreciate your business and are honored to be an extension of what you do in your classrooms. I just wanted to share this beautiful photo of Miss Dawn and Damaris pictured in our store with the cake, and it had congratulations, my favorite teacher, Miss Tony Dolan. So I'll pass that around as I give you the reading journals, each of you. And then just to let you know, your colleague was, honored in our store, and it was a great honor to celebrate her that evening. Thank you.
We have 3 more cards. After Ann will be David Hurley.
Hi, Ansuela Garcia, teacher, parents. I too work with students at night, and this is a side note, it's entertaining to me that you're calling out Teachers Call to San Joaquin when for years I've been recommending interns and you guys have turned them away. I've called and called and called and said this person's good, and then you wait till the end and you just don't get what you deserve. So, or maybe we do get what we deserve. Excited to work with those students every day, and we always talk about what you taught them, they remember how you made them feel. So 27 years ago, I was hired by Bill Mackey, it's his fault, to teach 6th grade at a little country school called Elkhorn. On my first day, it was a country school, there were sheep, there were horses. On my first day at work, I met a girl, another brand new teacher, Jill Garcia.
Friends, and 2 years later, we became family when I married her brother. 2017, when we learned that Jill had a glioblastoma brain tumor. Break. Our family is devastated, and we try to stay hopeful. I'm here tonight when I really should be home with her. She's sleeping in my daughter's bed tonight. Treatment. But I'm here because she's a teacher, and I'm a teacher, and we both believe that teachers should be treated with respect and be professional, and we deserve a fair contract now so we can get back to living and loving the people in our life. Thank you.
After Dave will be Dave.
I would stay for your comments, but I have to go give her her pain medication. So if you want to contact me, I appreciate that. I'm happy to talk to you. Thanks, Dave.
Oh, no problem.
Tom.
So the first thing, before I get started, I actually wanted to compliment the board on your body language. Because I know it's not easy to sit here and listen to it, but I do get the impression that you do listen. You're not acting distracted. And that's one of the things that I'm very, very impressed with over the time, that you look like you are listening to what's going on, even though what you're hearing may not be what you want to hear. Almost 2 years ago to the day, on April 21st, 2015, I stood before you and I asked you the following question. Are we satisfied as a district with our ability to attract the best new teachers available? Later, we're faced with the same issue. But in the interim period of time, our inability to recruit and retain new teachers has reached a crisis point. Points I emphasized on that evening in 2015 remain. The first one was, we're currently at a competitive disadvantage to recruit and retain the best young teachers. And there are significant negative consequences for our students due to this competitive disadvantage. Facts are easy for us to understand. There were 55 more teachers leaving the district in 2016 than in 2015. Our negotiations, I would expect this to be even more pronounced this year. One of our late hires at Sutherland Elementary and Kindergarten in Manteca Unified for $10,000 more than she'd be offered in our district. She's young, she's energetic, she's bilingual, and she's what our students need. And now she's gone. The fallout from our inability to recruit and retain new teachers is that underperforming Title I schools, such as Sutherland Elementary, school year with 5 long-term substitute teachers that do not have an appropriate teaching credential. Students always suffer from our inability to do the right thing. I'm drawn to the story of Emperor Nero. He fiddled while Rome burned to the ground. At least that's what the story says. Well, someone's been fiddling around for the last few years. And in my opinion, our modern day Rome is at least smoldering with discontent and distrust. There's a service in this district. I understand one thing loud and clear. Place compared to other districts. Teachers here are loyal to the district and the community. It takes a tremendous inequity for our teachers to react. Long-term roots in the community, and they take pride in teaching here. Picketing and protesting is not in the nature of these teachers. The situation has gone far beyond the norm. As a board, you're not calling the shots on teacher negotiations, but either through your steadfast approach by not budging from the district's position, or through inactivity or indifference. Your actions are complicit. Recruit and retain teachers for our district. I haven't really been able to figure out the end game on why the negotiations have been lingering for so long, but I know the result is detrimental to the stated vision of our district. Students for success. The number one factor in student success is and always will be qualified and caring teachers. By the irony of a recent Stockton Record article of the tremendous benefits of Measure U. And I wonder who's going to be teaching in these state-of-the-art classrooms and athletic facilities. I'm all for providing the most modern facilities for our students, but I'm going to use the analogy of sports comparison. Would you rather have great facilities or great coaches? Coach Nava, my memory serves me right, you won a few games in that old gym at Edison, and you won a few football games despite substandard practice facilities at Stag and not having a stadium. Although these are vastly different funding sources, you understand my point. Our priorities need to be examined. You might think it's like Field of Dreams, if you but the reality is, it's more like Jerry Maguire, show me the money. 7 days have passed since I originally addressed this issue to you. Days will pass before those of us who are deeply invested in our district will have the reasonable opportunity to continue to teach with young teachers who have entered our schools and changed our students' lives.
Mr. Heverly, Dr. Washer, and members of the board, good evening. Lodi Unified School teachers, a living wage. Teaching is a full-time career. It's not a job, it's a career. It includes arriving at school early in the morning. I haven't been home yet, already this morning. And we arrive home late at night. Many teachers work at least one day during the weekend, grading papers, essays, tests, preparing new innovative lessons. Remember, we have to compete with video games and phones and everything. Create PowerPoints, anything challenging to help maintain the student interest. Many people think that teachers have it easy because after all, they have all those vacations and they have the summer off too. Most teachers spend that time taking courses to hone their craft, prep for new courses or grade level, become familiar with a new textbook, and the list goes on and on. Or spring break, I know that that's when teachers use that time to catch up with grading. Why? Because there's not enough time during the day to do these things that the dedicated teachers do, the types of teachers that our students deserve. We can't get it done during the regular day because students are in the classroom and they require the help and the attention that they need after we've provided the instruction. Now, of course, that's part of our job, but we don't get additional pay. No, the work that we do on the weekends and at night and during the summer. There is no overtime. Teaching is a full-time career, one that dedicated people have taken on, not to get rich, but instead we do it for the students. It is truly a calling. However, also pay their bills. Many teachers in the district must take on additional jobs just to make ends meet. Some of the additional sites after are credit recovery or school, serving as a tip provider. But many have outside jobs outside of education. Teaching is already a full-time job, but this is something that they must do to provide for their families. Teachers must be adequately compensated to retain the quality of teachers that we currently have, as well as to attract those that we will need as we continue to face teacher shortages. The economy was bad back in 2008. Teachers stepped up and took pay cuts because it was good for the students and also to help retain the teachers that were going to be laid off. As the economy improved, the teachers had to fight to get that money back. And the amount that we finally got back was ultimately considered, well, you got your raise. As a result of the cuts, teachers are still behind their counterparts in other districts. We do not have the buying power because our salaries are not keeping up with inflation. Last board meeting, you were reminded, and I've heard this sentiment several times before this evening, that Lodi Unified used to be the district to be in. Parents wanted their kids in Lodi schools and teachers wanted to teach there. People used to buy houses specifically geared to have their kids in Lodi schools. Schools aren't that way anymore. The teachers are working hard, but we're not keeping the schools, and the salary to attract good teachers is not keeping up with adjoining districts. Without attracting and retaining great teachers, property values will decrease, and that will not be good for this community. Now is the time for Lodi to return to the table with a better offer that not only respects the essential work that dedicated teachers provide, but also to help meet the LCAP goals of attracting and retaining good teachers. Thank you.
Obviously, you all realize we went well over the 20 minutes set aside, but it was worthwhile and it was an important thing to do.
Thank you.
Thank you. These are all the slips that I have. Is there anyone from the audience that has would like to address the board on something other than negotiations, please?
Can I speak as a parent?
You may speak as a parent. Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, I have to get it up. I didn't think I'd get a chance to talk because I didn't put my notes in. My name is Elizabeth Wright. I do teach at Orchard, but as I said, I'm speaking tonight as a parent. I have 2 young children, 2 and 6 years old, and I'm terrified by the system that my children will soon be enrolled in. My daughter's currently enrolled at Lodi Montessori, but she will be entering into Lodi Unified next year. And I'm not terrified because of the current LUSD teachers, but because I have to think about the next 16 years. 16 years from today, I guess August. Who will be there to teach their classes, to challenge them, to love them, to nurture them, to instill a love of learning, to facilitate that light bulb moment that we all live for. The passion for literature, art, science, math, sports. We cannot recruit or retain amazingly wonderful, highly qualified, educated, dedicated teachers because you simply not pay enough. As a previous board member, Ms. Dawn Teagan pointed out, 30 years ago, Lodi Unified was a highly sought after school district to work for. I was extremely fortunate, a recipient of that education. I came back to Lodi Unified because of the amazing educators who taught me, some who are still in this room. An education that affected me, sorry to come back, but I fear that this will not be the case for my own children. Because Lodi cannot recruit and retain educators. If we're the lowest paid in the area and we currently are 50 teachers short, what does that mean over the next 16 years? What does that mean next year? How many teachers are we going to be short in classrooms next year? In 5 years from now? I want to acknowledge that the student achievements I've been lucky to see recognize that these current board meetings have been amazing. But as a parent, I fear that when my children are old enough to participate in such dynamic extracurricular activities, our district will be void of such qualified and dedicated teachers. Additional jobs to supplement their inadequate income. Please don't fail my children and the children of Lodi Unified.
Back up to the podium so we can have your name, please. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Elizabeth Wright.
Elizabeth Wright.
Yes.
Thank you so much. All righty, we're going to move on with the agenda. Thank you so much. We are at consent agenda A, routine business. Are there any items board members would like to pull from the agenda?
Yes, A3, A4 for abstaining.
Any other board members? Are there any items that the audience would like to pull from the consent agenda? Hearing none.
Chairman, I move we approve the rest of the agenda.
Second. All righty. And student preferential vote?
Aye. Aye.
Great, bring it back to the board. There we go. Okay. Ms. Castle, A3 and A4, you were going to abstain, is that correct? Okay. Could we take them together then, or do you need them separate? Separate, okay, here we go. Agenda item A3.
Mr. President, I move to approve item A3.
Second, student preferential vote.
Aye.
Thank you. And back to the board for vote. And A3 passes. Thank you so much. We're on agenda item A4. I'm trying to get this mosquito.
Mr. President, I move to approve item A4.
Thank you. Second. Thank you, Mr. Talkin. Student preferential vote.
Aye.
Thank you so much. Board vote. And motion passes. Thank you, sir. Moving on. We are now on consent agenda B, which is student discipline cases. And students, you know that's not you.
Mr. President?
Yes.
I move to approve items B 1, 2, and 3.
Second. Vote. And consent agenda B passes. Agenda item OA1 would be Ms. Castle.
Thank you. I'd like to read the title of this action item. It is a motion to rescind board action of March 21st, 2017, Measure U Citizens Oversight Committee. Our policy is that when you vote in the affirmative on an action item, you are allowed to ask for a redo, basically, which is what I'm doing. I'll give you a very brief history. On March 21st, I was participating from a remote location where I was in training. It was not apparent to me in my remote location, I was simply using a phone to connect with the board, that the list of names, there had been 8 names on the Measure U committee, had been shortened. So when I voted, I thought I was voting for 8 names when in fact, only later did I realize it was only 7. So that's the grounds for which I'm asking. I would also like to say that I can see how Mr. Nava was very concerned at that meeting, how it fell into place, and I'd like to express sympathy for that. And with that explanation, I would then like to make the motion to pass this particular item.
We have a motion and a second. Yes vote will rescind, and no vote will keep it the same. All right. The motion is to rescind the board action, so a yes would in fact rescind. Student preferential vote.
Aye.
Okay, thank you so much. And board. The motion fails. The vote is 3-3. And it needs a majority of 4 to pass. Am I correct in that?
Majority, yes. There's the majority of the board, majority of the president. There is an allocation for that, but I believe this is majority of the.
Okay. Yes.
I can run upstairs.
No.
We probably maybe do it at recess or
We can take why don't we just move on with the agenda?
I will go right now.
And if you want to get that for us, that way we don't make a mistake.
Thank you.
So we will go to action item.
Mr. Chairman, before we go to that, is it proper for me to make a comment? On the motion to rescind?
Yes.
Board action?
Go right ahead.
I'm still really upset, the fact that subcommittee of 3 board members, and these board members made a decision, select all 8 candidates for this job, which was very good candidates. Mr. Sun, we could have had up to 9 members. Previous, not the previous, but the board member before, a motion was made to go with the first 7. Never heard of that. You know, as a coach, I always taught loyalty. I taught integrity. I taught commitment, and I did that for 41 years for the person over there that makes the comment. 41 years of this. I've been in your spot many, many years. Would you respect the fact that I'm surprised, Mr. Heberly, you being a member of that committee, you did not vote for this motion to be rescinded and passed with the 8 members that we had. I'm really surprised. I don't know your purpose for it, but it's very disloyal to have a subcommittee of board members or is not in unison in supporting this motion and this subcommittee report and agenda that we had, the agenda that we had on there. State that because since I've been in this board meeting, this board 9 years, I've had loyalty from all board members. When they have a subcommittee, I have never voted against any of the decisions that they come out with. I want to state to the other 2 board members, if you read the subcommittee bringing forward to the recommendation we had, it's very sad. Thank you.
I understand, Mr. Nava, that you're upset about this. And the way that it works is that when there's a board subcommittee, they do kind of the work, or I guess behind the scenes work, and bring it to the full board. It is the decision of the full board at that time. Recommendation to bring all 8 names was not unanimous. There were 2 said yes, 1 said no. I gave you the reasons why I said no in the meeting. It shouldn't be a big surprise why I voted no for that 1 candidate. I understand what you're saying, but it is, any subcommittee goes to the full board for final vote. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, I still don't understand your logic behind, if it's 2-to-1 vote, don't you go with the majority of the vote? Are you disrespecting the other 2 board members for coming in with a resolution that says the recommendation is to appoint 8? And if that be the case, the person that made that motion should have given us actually an option to do, or select the 7 or 8 of them and then bring back the 7 that are properly qualified.
That's not how I see it.
I know you don't.
However,
because you can't get off of it. I know you don't, okay?
Okay. I let you talk.
Yeah, no, and I'm still talking.
So I understand that if you want to talk about this, a meeting with you.
I don't need to meet with you, Mr. Heberly.
Very good. Okay, thank you so much for your comments.
Okay, subject closed.
Very good. I like that. Okay, we're now on other action items 3, and that would be Mr. Hearn.
Thank you, President Everly, members of the board. Resolution starts the process of selling the first series of bonds from Measure U. And so it's a necessary items required by state statute and necessary for the board to approve and this resolution so that we can start that process of selling those bonds.
Thank you. Questions, comments from board members?
I read all this resolution from page 1 to 1,000, okay? And the resolution is proper, and we're getting the $80,000 that you requested with this. Is that correct, Mr. Hearn?
$80 million.
80 million, I'm sorry. And I move that we approve resolution 2017-31 to get this rolling.
Second. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other comments by board members? All right, audience? Okay, very good. And student preferential vote.
Aye. Aye.
All right, very good. Bring the vote back to the board. And motion passes. Thank you all.
Thank you.
All right, we are on other action items. Number 4, that would be Mr. McKilligan.
Mr. President, the LPPA Employee Association has ratified this agreement and is now before you for approval.
Any other questions or comments from board members? All right, we have a motion and a second. Student preferential vote?
Aye. Aye.
Very good. Oh, okay. Okay, board vote, please. And the motion passes. Thank you. We're now on personnel matters.
Mr. President, the routine personnel matters are presented for your consideration.
It is personnel matters. You do not vote.
Mr. President, I move approval.
Thank you, Mr. Tallman. Do I have a second? Thank you, Mr. Nava. And board vote. All right, we are at passes. Thank you. And we're at student representatives. Please, we have Carolyn. Who wants to go first?
Good evening, Mr. President and members of the board. So to start for school activities, we have College Ready Tigers, which are announced every week in our bulletin, and these are people that are selected randomly and receive prizes for their academic excellence. And then we have our fishing team up and going. Our honors breakfast, which was held on April 12th, and over 400 students were recognized. And we have recently had a Tokay versus Lodi boys volleyball game where Lodi actually won. And then we have coming up a senior movie night where all the seniors are invited to come and watch a movie, kind of as the last bonding experience. And then we have a staff for student comedy sports on April 21st at 7 p.m. in our theater. That's coming up on Tuesday, April 18th. And then there's a Monterey Bay whale watching trip with the Whale Warriors Club on April 30th. And then we have our senior picnic in Santa Cruz on Wednesday, May 31st. And then our cap and gown distribution is tomorrow. And our state testing is being held this week as well.
Really doesn't it? Cap and gown is coming.
Did you say fishing team?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, they will do.
I'm not involved. I'm pretty sure it's just the group of teachers that do this. But I guess they get together and they go on.
That's a good plan. Okay, thanks.
There you go. Thank you for your report. Go ahead.
Mr. President and members of the board,
For school activities on April 10, we had a senior day. And that is when the seniors got a chance to all get together and sit in the gym, and we had a hypnotist show. And it was really funny to see some seniors get hypnotized in front of the senior class. That morning, we also had a senior breakfast where all the seniors had breakfast together. And later in that day, we all received our cap and gowns. Junior versus senior volleyball game on April 14, and that's when the seniors won. Right now, we're having student elections for the upcoming new student government. Today, we actually had a student council meeting, and we got the input of the student body of what we can do to improve our campus and what they want to see more for next year. Right now, we also have the Romeo and Juliet play production. 12 will be having a Make-A-Wish talent show where many kids on campus will get to show their talent, and yeah. So there's two students that I would like to recognize. They're two by the names of Rudy Hernandez and Joshua Bradley. These two seniors took the initiative to stop a bully from bullying another student. Time and money, they bought the student a new hat and sweater because the bully kind of took it away from the student. So it was really nice to know that we have people standing up against bullying at our school. For co-curricular, we have 4 students that signed a letter of intent, and they committed to their colleges for their sport, polo, soccer, and golf. And for soccer, Charles Brua, he is the first student to ever receive a scholarship under our soccer program, which is really nice. All the Avid students, or the senior Avid students, have all got accepted into Florida College, and many are planning to attend the college of their choice, which is awesome. In events that we have next week, we have prom at the Scottish Rite Temple. We have our senior grad night at Disneyland, May 6th. May 11, where all the seniors get recognized for all the scholarships that they received and whatever awards they got. We also have our last goodbye rally, May 19th. On the night of graduation, May 30th, graduation, May 30th.
Great, thank you so much. Appreciate it. And considering the hour, it's totally up to you whether you stay or you can go home and do your homework. Thank you for your reports, really do appreciate it.
I just want to make a brief comment, Jenica and Carolyn. It reminds me how much we're going to miss you. We only have one meeting left, and right now, I mean, it's almost the end of the school year. You both have done such a good job. You will be missed.
Thank you. All right, very good. We'll go ahead and continue on with the communications, and then we'll come back to action item 1. Comments from employee representatives. John?
Good evening, Mr. Heatherly, Dr. Washer, Mr. McKilligan, and members of the board. My name is John. I'm a counselor and president of LPPA. As you know, LPPA is the People Personnel Association, which represents 7 subgroups. And I kind of feel like here tonight. I'm married to a teacher. I was a teacher for 12 years. And first thing I'd like to say before I say anything else, I fully support what the teachers are trying to do. I know at our schools, I think everybody here agrees, we want good teachers, and the word attract, to not only attract, but to also retain and keep. And 2 months ago, I talked to this group, and I was pretty complimentary with what had happened with the language speech pathologists. I learned not to call them speechies, and I recommend nobody calls them speechies. They're speech language pathologists, as I recently found out. And they're basically pretty much full strength. We're not short of SLPs any longer. They're doing very well. I mentioned at that time we had 2 main concerns remaining. Our main concern was the shortage of school psychologists. We were having a difficult time retaining and attracting. There's 4 openings now, there's 3 next year. We were short a projected 7 for next year, and we went into negotiations realizing that was our biggest need, similar to the 49ers needing the quarterback. we needed to take care of these psychologists. So in our negotiations, it kind of paralleled LEA most likely, in that the district came with 2%. We obviously came with our number for the 2-year agreement. And not a lot of movement happened on that, but on a lot of other things, there was a lot of movement. And we worked hard all year with Mr. McKilligan. He met with our school psychologist subcommittee, MOU, and we went somewhere we've never gone before. LPPA, kind of the solution that was presented to us, and we went ahead and took an agreement, a tentative agreement to our union, which uses a numbered ballot. And by the 52, we agreed to the contract, and we think it's in the best interest of our union, and we think it's in the best interest of our union because we got our number one need, which was a very good MOU with the psychologists. And so basically a good half of our members realized that we were going to go ahead and approve that. At the beginning of the year, we invited Mike Lynch and Del Petzold, the two founding members of LPPA back from the late 70s, who were my counselors, and they gave some advice to our union, which is sometimes, you know, some subgroups have to take it on the chin for other subgroups. And I don't know that we really took it on the chin per se, but I think in anything you decide to do, whenever you choose something, back to my teaching economics days, there's an opportunity cost. Cost for our union, we had an opportunity cost. In other words, we agreed to the contract, and our psychologists are very happy. Because our second need was ratios of high school counselors. Now, we haven't gotten an increase in ratios, but you have made a commitment to our group with the Central Valley training, getting a handbook in place, giving us the extra half hour for school psychologists to bring us up to 450 minutes. I'm sorry, school counselors. And then the elementary counselors who were left out teaching, our elementary counselors, days were added, which was important for them to be with staff and so forth. So we felt like with these basically things that were provided to our group, because of the timeliness of the matter, if we could have waited for a couple months and hired school psychologists, we might have done that. But a lot of the job fairs are going on now, and as a group, we decided we had to make a go for it. So we voted and we approved it, and I know it was a compromise. There was opportunity costs probably on both sides, and it just kind of happened that way. I did want to also thank the board for continued support of SLPs. The MOU is going to come up. We will have continued needs. We have 7 very distinct subgroups. We're very different in many ways from LEA. And the message I want to get to my comrades in the trenches, the teachers out there, is not that LPPA left them high and dry, but that our goal, much like theirs, is to attract and train teachers. And we felt like we went ahead and did so in the best interest of the members of our unit and the students that we serve. And I would like to say to all the people that want to hang me up on my toenails in my own union, for going somewhere we've never gone before and introducing another element or new dimension in negotiations, time will tell if that was a bad move. And, I guess coulda, shoulda, woulda. Well, a lot of us live in that world. But I do want to, again, state unions continuing to negotiate, and I wish them the best of success. They deserve every bit of it. And I also want to say I'm looking forward to continuing to work on the needs of our various subgroups, and I'd be talk to anybody or anything. But more than anything, for the support and from Mr. McKilligan, it is not easy sitting in there trying to hash things out. Again, it's not perfect, and it was a little bit of it's not tidy many times. And so I do want to thank you, and encourage you to contact me if you want to discuss any of the details. And if you want to know some of the more, and want to touch base, I've got a couple names I can give you of individuals that would love to have a piece of your mind if they don't come out and make comments at public things about our group. But again, it was a tough decision, and I feel for the teachers still going at it, and in many ways I'm right there with them. But I think the timeliness is what hit us, is getting psychologists need to be hired now in place for next year so the kids have that they serve.
Thank you, John. Any other employee group representatives?
Good evening, President Heberly, members of the board, Dr. Washer. My fellow teachers that have hung out late tonight as they have to show up early tomorrow morning to greet their students. We have 33 days of school left. In those 33 days, we have students graduating for continued education, careers, new adventures. We expect our graduating seniors to talk about the new paths of their future. And you'll be at all those graduation ceremonies getting to hear what those paths will be, what they inspire to go towards in the future. We normally don't expect our teachers to be talking about new careers, new homes, new jobs. In my 20+ years, I have not heard the talk that I am hearing now. Teachers are receiving letters from other school districts by neighboring districts. They are also looking themselves and applying to other school districts, some of those not too far away. The reasons are varied. I've spoken to you about respect. Seems to be a common thread in many of the conversations I've had. You asked me about respect. I believe it was Mr. Neely at before a closed session, asked as a LEA member, what did respect mean? Did it mean just money? No, but that's part of it. Shows respect in different ways. The first and foremost is compensation, salary, benefits. Your 2% is so low that many find it disrespectful. You can make between $78 to $178 a month with the 2%. That amount barely covers the additional costs the teachers have incurred for insurance. Does not seem like a viable increase. Does not seem like what the district is showing as I am valuable as a teacher. Percentages that are additional to my salary for doing more work on the proposal is not a significant amount. More days of working. The major issue with this is you are saying only some of those teachers are respected to get that additional bonus. And I don't think you can look in this audience here and say, well, out of 53 sites that will get that bonus. That's not a sign of respect to the entire membership. That choosing of select additional bonuses is temporary. It's not long-term. How can I plan to purchase a house, to buy a car, if my salary is going to fluctuate from year to year based on different categories that I qualify for? Every single teacher that works for you, 472 of them, deserve a significant increase in their salary and benefits. As you heard tonight from very passionate teachers sharing their stories, their hearts with you tonight. I had several teachers come to me last week, speaking of the new ELD reports, checklists that they have to do for the new adoption. Teachers are working more now, spend hours, I mean hours at night, at home, on their computer, trying to log in trying to input scores. Some schools only have 2 ELD students. Other classes, their entire roster are ELD students. 4 scores for every child has to be input into the computer so that it can be pushed out into a report. There is no compensation for those teachers at home after hours to get those reports done. Yet because the adoption was done, and whether we knew that that was something that was in the adoption, which I don't remember that being on that panel, be such a significant amount of time that it takes to complete in order for the teachers to know where the students are so that the district knows where they are at what ELD level in time. Teachers stop putting in those hours for that score that they need, that their administrators are pressing them for. No, that they are not stopping, they are not quitting, even with a new adoption, even with new requirements on top of what they already had to do. They're doing it, but they need you to know that the time and effort that they're having to put in extra, they are meeting their required time input into there so someone can generate a report when they know exactly how that ELD student is going, how they're speaking, how they're writing. It's a doubling of efforts. Continue to add things to Teachers' Day. You need to really have people evaluating what can be taken off that I'm hearing are spent on these reports is too much. It's respect, take something off their plate, reevaluate what's really needed. A great show tonight with those science teachers, Science Olympiad, Science Bowl. We have teachers going above and beyond every single day. And I think as somebody pointed out tonight, with those teachers leaving about other jobs, we're not going to have that expertise if we keep not attracting them and we are not retaining them by a competitive salary. So just some food for thought, and you heard a lot of passionate, heartfelt stories tonight. In mind as you move forward to a new offer or answers to what the bargaining team brought last time. Thank you.
Any other bargaining groups? Okay, we'll move on. Comments from board members?
Yeah, I have a few. Last week, I was invited to attend the Lodi High School Walk of Flame dedication. Walk of Flame is in front of the Milas Gym where some personalized bricks have been installed. So there's a lot of photographs, a lot of people happy. If you're interested in having your own brick, you can go to the Lodi High School website and just check on the. And then the next morning, I went back to Lodi High School for 4th, 5th, and 6th grade track meet. It was packed. And one thing, there's 2 things that I saw that were, one is that Lodi High School needs to have stands. Measure you guys. Needs to have some seating. There's no place for people to sit at a track meet that has any number, even a small number of people there. The other thing I saw, which really kind of tickled me, is kids having fun, 2 races. I mean, there's races going on both the east side and the west side of the tracks, and then there's a bunch of other kids just in the middle, saying race, set, go. It just had seen kids have fun. I loved it. A lot of smiles, a lot of teachers volunteering their time out there, like we all know that teachers do on a Saturday morning. At least it didn't rain, but it was good. And then I went over and dropped by the math. What's it? The math.
Olympiad.
Oh, the math Olympiad at Tokyo High School on my way out. Again, a lot of smiles, a lot of teachers volunteering time, and I looked at a couple of the questions that the kids were doing. You know, I never did figure out when a train's leaving Chicago at 9 in the morning at 65 miles an hour, and another one from New York. I never could get through that. Well, that's real simple compared to what these guys are doing. It was pretty amazing.
Thank you. All right, I will be brief also. We crossed paths Saturday the 15th at the track meet, and you're right about the stands. The grass was definitely wet. People were either standing or getting wet. You're right, the smiles were there. And anyway, after that, I went to the math tournament and helped hand out awards. Mr. Nava was there with Mr. Connected, and just watching the kids, they're doing math and they're excited and smiling and going, yes, that's wonderful. Something it kind of struck me. This time of year, we do a lot of recognitions. We've done even ag vine pruning, Science Olympiad. We're going to do the math tournament recognition. And all these things, what was the common thing? The common theme was, once again, yet again, there's a bunch of teachers volunteering their time. And mention that because I don't want that overlooked. Come from my family, it's in my family, so I definitely get it. And I think you know that if you marry a teacher, it becomes a family function. So you get big hook and it draws you in. But that is secondary. I did want to mention it, but it is secondary to the activities that those kids are doing and watching their faces. It was great. So yes, thanks. All right. Dr. Washer, do you have anything?
Yes, process is correct. On the item, the motion failed. Thank you for allowing the double check. There were a couple different scenarios presented by legal counsel, so thank you very much. And yes, the motion did fail.
Motion did fail. And we have two report items. The first one is proposed suspension of academic program. Ms. Vedica. Oh, okay. Now.
Good evening again, Mr. President, members of the board. I have with me
Jonathan Martin.
I was going to say Paul Martin because the two of them work so closely together. Jonathan Martin, the Celtic director, and Paul Warren, our coordinator for special ed. We have a proposal tonight to look at suspending the CAPNIC program. It seems to have less and less students all the time, and it's a costly program to run, and yet there are many other things in special ed that do cost us, and we have to add classrooms for other reasons. So looking at the overall program at CAPNIC, we find that it would be it would be good to suspend it for 1 year and look at what we will be doing after that.
Over the course of, you see 2014, 15, 15, 16, and then 2016, 17, we have had 2 FTE teachers and 4 assistants managing that program. Over the course of the last 3 years, we've had declining enrollment. Our resources very closely in special education. This year, we are on track for over 500 new kids in special education and looking at new ways of looking at utilizing our resources more effectively. As you see, cost savings that we're looking at, transportation, $42,537, site costs, $171,195, $5,620 for labor and food costs. In special education, the 2 teachers and the 3 paraeducators are $348,593 for a total savings of $567,000.
Well, and one of the things we're wanting to look at is currently we have site-based interventions, positive behavioral interventions and supports. Special education has embedded in it a number of different types of interventions. And so we want to continue to utilize those. I think that's part of the reason why we're seeing a reduction in expulsion numbers of special ed students. Also continue the revised discipline, which we believe is also would help sustain trend of reduced expulsions. And during this trial year, along with the interventions, providing site placement changes to students with 20 days of suspension or pending expulsions, and then providing additional interventions to those students.
Do you have any questions?
No, I just have a comment. Excellent thought. I mean, when you have 7 students and you have 1 expelled, and you have 6, and you have more than $500,000 spent. I think the alternative plan that you're planning is great. You have something to back this up and maybe come back if these things are needed, you know, and then the school needs to reopen and that type of thing. I remember when we opened it, we were serving a lot of people, and we did it for a purpose with the expulsing people that were going to be school there and that type of thing, and it was a great idea. But the enrollment has gone completely down, and I do report.
Thank you.
The only question I have is, it does say that there will be additional supports, and that kind of just says it, but I don't understand how the operational. If the overriding thing for me is that if they're not served at Catnick, they stay at their comprehensive high school.
Is they don't get to the point of expulsion, but if they do, then we'd have to look at an alternative placement. We'd change them probably to another high school if they're, or even looking at having a classroom at one of the high schools that services the students. Students, they spend most of their time in a special day class.
They would just dovetail in there.
Yes.
When it says additional interventions, that's the piece I want to make sure that we don't drop kids through the cracks. And the IS, you know, it was discipline reaction, and there was never anything to kind of go, whoa, stop, what is causing it? And a lot of times that takes that effort to program a system and people dig in to say, you know, why is this happening? So that piece will still be there, is that correct?
Even more so.
Okay.
We are improving on that at all times.
Okay, perfect, good answer. Yeah, that was me. Yes, go ahead.
My question is are any of these students referred to continuation program?
The continuation high schools do not have special day class offered. They don't have the special ed at their sites.
I guess the question I would ask, and maybe you're not, could they?
Yes, that could be one of the alternatives.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, comments from board members?
All right.
Yeah,
Sure. I'm sorry. One more time, and maybe you said this, and maybe it's just spending all day. What's enrollment down?
We actually are suspending and expelling less special day class students. We're intervening before that happens. It's kind of a good thing.
Okay, so we're doing something better in our regular high schools. Okay. And because we're kind of like vulture now, we can't kill anything, and we gotta wait for something to die, right? So we gotta wait for somebody to be expelled, but we don't want people to be expelled. So, So we're in this situation, okay. And because that is the premise of this school, there's not other students that we can use for study hall. Unless we find these other alternatives.
Correct.
Okay, thank you for letting talk this out loud.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. It kind of helps everybody get in that mode, you know, we just want to make sure kids are served. I mean, that's the bottom line, so. Okay, members of the audience, any questions, comments on this report item? Oh, yes, please, go ahead.
The third bullet point there, that 20 days, trying to, after the 20 days, we have not done that up until, we have never done that so far, so that would be new, a new policy.
Actually, student discipline at 20 days, they are to be expelled unless you have a change of placement, then they get an extra 10 days, it becomes 30 days. And before CATNIC existed, when students that were in special day class went up for expulsion, there wasn't a program for them at all, so they just would move them to another school. But now we're trying more interventions. I think that's the key part.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, audience, okay, please go ahead.
With you disbanding, I don't know if that's the right word to use, CATNIC, I would ask that personnel really give priority one to those teachers that will no longer be at that site as they look for new positions, and this process has already started. That's taking place, but just want to make sure that they don't, because this came to the board late in a year of the transfer process.
That's a yes. Yes. Okay. Thank you. All righty. Thank you for the report, Adam. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hearing with the construction project specialists.
Thank you, President Everly, members of the board. Just to give you a brief history, and this is two positions that we would like to fill for the next fiscal year. It would come out of routine restricted maintenance, which is a restricted funding source and only can be used for either repair, maintenance, or doing that actual process. It would not include like custodians that repair something such as a plumber, electrician, a carpenter, and so forth. So this is where the funding source is coming. And a little bit of history, as you recall, during the recession, the law or the statute requires if a district receives any state dollar building, then they must have a routine restricted maintenance fund. It to 3% of the total expenditures in a school year. During the recession, that was reduced down to 1%. So that funding source was reduced by 2/3. And I think all of us agree that over that period of time, our facilities suffered because of that. And we lost many of our personnel who were actually repairing schools. So this is, we're asking for a recovery of positions, of 2 positions that the maintenance department would like to reinstate. The expert now speak, and I think we all know Mitch, so.
Mr. Herbert, President Everly, members of the board, Superintendent Walker. If we go to the next slide, I think, you know. There we go. Historically, we have many contracted services that we have to manage. This is the mechanical system supervisor of heavy plate. Also, you've got backflow prevention, fire alarms, intercom, pool sanitation. And these are some construction things that they have to lead, HVAC installation, irrigation installation, full support of Prop 39, which is all mechanical systems and fire alarm reports. Those has a very smaller list of annual things: bleacher inspection, playground inspection, the HERA, that's asbestos and hazardous waste disposal, and a larger list. Next slide. Asphalt repairs, concrete, asphalt grinding, seal coating, painting, and so forth. This is, I think, will help you best understand what we're trying to do. Before the recession, we had 77 positions. Right now, we have 62. This is the delta of 15. We're not asking to exceed what I found when I came in 2007 and 8. That's why I started the chart there. Found the organization to be. We're simply asking to be more efficient. Before recession was 5 leads. Those leads did those things that you saw on the chart. They did those activities. Story, Ryan, who's an electrician, saw Tim Etzel approaching him. He's from the outside. He went attention on deck. Tim approached. Tim passed. Time under the current model to direct, supervise our staff. They can do a little bit of it, but they're doing all those other things that I mentioned. And then in the past, we had leads. The leads only did electrical. A lead plumber only did plumbing. A lead painter only did painting. Highly inefficient. They couldn't cross paths. What I'm asking for is a mechanical lead, person to be assigned, a facility construction specialist to be assigned to mechanical, and one to be assigned to structural, that you saw on the first slide. As I said earlier, the RM was at 77 positions, and 11 through 14 we reduced to 1% or reduced down to 44 positions, a loss of 33 people. I believe we kept one lead, and that was the groundskeeping lead we put on the operations supervisor at the time. In 15-17, we got restored to 3% of the overall budget and increased to 62 positions. Again, a 15 position delta. We're asking the authority to proceed with the 2 construction specialists for what I explained a minute ago. Last slide would be $162,000.
So, any questions from the board?
Yes, yeah, could I ask a question? Will the role of these 2 people be involved in any way? Use the word repair and maintenance that is occurring with Measure U.
No, they would not be.
Completely divorced from anything with Measure U.
First of all, Measure U wouldn't allow any expenditure towards employees.
I'm aware of that. I just wanted to know if they were going to be overseeing there.
No. They may be used as experts in the field if they come across something within a project, but we would rely certainly on the contractors that would be hired for Measure U projects.
Yes, I have a question for Mitch. You know, at one time we thought, do we have enough people to take care of our schools, and all these kinds of things? Do we have enough people? I'm not talking about these mechanical supervisor, structural supervisor, but the people that we have now. In other words, you lost some people. You have minus people here. For example, I'll just go down to the custodian warehouse. You lost 1. You don't have that anymore. You don't have an electrician. You lost 1. A good job with all these schools with the 62 plus the mechanical and structural supervisor that we're going to, we hope we hire.
We could always do better with more.
Yes.
However, what I'm trying to model in my career, trying to model a very highly efficient organization.
Yes.
When I look at, for instance, the number of plumbers we have, we're a little on the short side. That's for a conversation later. If I look at the electricians, there's good news. Right now, Joe Patty promoted to a lead electrician. He's going through a trial period. Edith and I are having a conversation. I would expect his position to be free, adding an electrician back with no extra cost, because I pay for those people back to the organization. That's something to celebrate.
You have 7 and you cut down 2, so you have 5 painters.
We could always add more painters on, but I feel very confident that the people we have now are painting entire schools.
Good, that's all I have.
Dave, go out to Davis and take a look at the range slow this down.
Right.
We're painting that school with 5 people.
Very good. And that's sufficient.
Yes.
And that's all I want to know, because I know that it's a good, I like the idea, because, I mean, all these duties that you have written here, that's a lot on their plate right there, but if they're gonna take care of it and they're did this, then other things will take care of themselves.
Mr. Freitas?
Mitch, Tim, thank you very much for the report. Everyone loves clean and healthy schools. I can't say enough of it. And I'm going to support this additional positions. This is really a no-brainer. When you think of the job your people are doing and how much more just 2 people can do. I mean, we can only run the staff at Red Line for so long. And the other thing is that if you look at that number in 2007, 2008, campuses, right?
Right.
So, what, a half dozen fewer campuses?
Don't
ask me, I wasn't here.
There's, for a later conversation would be our groundskeepers. That is not part of the discussion tonight. We are, and that, again, something later back to you, it has a lot to do with additional high school, which we're down 6 groundskeepers and they move rather fast.
Exactly. So, I mean, to be doing this amount of work, 16 FTEs, 15 FTEs down, and to have with additional campuses, and this being from a fund, a reserve that can only be used for this purpose, again, this is a no-brainer, and you have my full support. Thank you for bringing this idea to us.
I tend to agree. This seems to be more than reasonable to me.
Yes. I echo fellow board members. Members of the audience, do you have any questions on this report item? Thank you so much for your report.
Thank you.
Sounds like a good go. All right, board advisory committee reports. Any advisory committees? Future agenda items? And meeting is adjourned. Actually, I was told you don't have to. Oh, right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think we're there.
No, it's not. I'm sorry. That's what I need in front of me right now. Yeah, I know. Sorry.
Yeah, I've lost. Email while you're I do. So
Thank you.
No. No, I'm in big trouble. I'm in big trouble.
Yes, they are. Listed across the top and across the bottom, the bottom. There are, based on this one skill, you're evaluating two to three different skills based on the.
Thank you very much.
In first grade, it's particularly interesting, bordering on realistic, because first grade, yes.